get absorbed in, and you are Sonic.
What's up, everybody? I'm Taylor Olmstead, and I want to welcome you back to No Repeat, a podcast where we pick 3 songs every week with no repeats and no do-overs to create a perfect playlist for every occasion life throws at you. Joining me are my co-hosts, Tyler Reed.
Hello, everyone. I'm Satan.
And Sean Evans.
Brad Neely, if you're listening to this podcast, which I know you do all the time, I want to float to you an idea for a new musical called Greenspan, the Alan Greenspan musical. Just put it out there. You know where I'm at. You know my Twitter handle. And my Instagram handle. Just reach out, man. Just reach out. I'm here for you.
Just send those vibes out into the internet, Sean. But Tyler, we're not here to talk about Alan Greenspan this week. What are we talking about?
This week, through our collective hive mind, we've decided to select my challenge this week. And that challenge is the perfect song for a one-way ticket to hell.
This was another one of those where Tyler just said a ridiculous thing on Billy Joe Armstrong's Middle School Notebook, our super secret, not so secret podcast for Patreon supporters. Thank you for your money. He said something about getting one-way tickets to hell and our childhood rock and roll radio station WEBN. And I don't know, somehow that morphed into our hell challenge. I get the sense that we kind of approached this in a similar way for the most part. Songs about hell, songs with hellish overtones. I don't know, what were you guys going for? What was the vibe?
Well, I knew that Tyler had put together like an entire playlist of WEBN's greatest hits from 2002.
Still played today.
But I thought, I can do better than that. Because I don't want it to really have... I was seeing if I could make it about hell without ever having to say the word hell in the song, you know? Like, give it a little more subtlety than that, because if it's not subtle, it makes me upset. And I don't like when people explain their emotions like that. So I just think, you know, don't upset me, because that's how I feel when you say hell in your song about hell, okay?
It's a harsh stance there, Sean.
Just have some more subtlety.
Tyler, subtlety was obviously not your MO this week.
Oh, no.
What happened here, man?
So... I had a very specific image in my mind when I considered a one-way ticket to hell. And it's sort of like almost like narrative scene I'm trying to paint. It's sort of almost like an episode from like Hey Arnold, or like a children's cartoon, maybe like the episode of Futurama where they fight the fiddle devil in Trash Hell or whatever. You know, and it's like, it's a very sort of loose interpretation of hell that's like, you know, like a little sexy, a little fun, you know? It's not the burning abyss we all imagine it to be, but it's some sort of like challenge, you know, maybe like a Dante's Inferno. So I kind of imagined this sort of being like the song that's like played as the scene is playing out, but the characters can't hear it. But it would be sort of like the montage of them plummeting down into the abyss.
Okay.
This is a very specific image I had in mind. I'm sorry.
I guess so. I also went the kind of film and TV route this week. I recently watched Good Omens on Amazon Prime, which is fantastic. If people have not watched that yet, 6-part miniseries based on the Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett book about an angel and a demon trying to prevent the apocalypse. And so I was already kind of in this like hell mindset. And I was looking at like songs from different TV shows and different movies and depictions of hell. The Good Omens relies heavily on Queen, which I'm not a huge Queen fan, and none of it was really hellish enough for me. Wanted something a little spookier, something a little creepier. Started digging through my playlist and some soundtracks for really spooky, creepy stuff, and ended up landing on a track that was featured in the, I guess, the 3rd season, technically, of Twin Peaks, the Return series from 2017. It just has, the song itself has a really like creepy energy to it, and the scene that it's used in Twin Peaks is one of the most effective scenes in the new series, I think, that's not spoilery. And so it kind of seemed like a perfect fit for me this week. But I had a lot of really good B-sides too. Obviously there are a lot of songs about hell and scary stuff that could fit this challenge.
Do we want to go right into yours, Taylor, then?
I mean, if you want, we can start.
I think that's a good one. I think we should start off with yours.
All right, so my song this week is Axolotl by The Veils.
A little nightmarish, a little
I mentioned, Axolotl is used in the most recent series of Twin Peaks, the David Lynch, Mark Frost surreal crime horror soap opera, I guess you could call it. The song is actually produced by LP, who is one half of Run the Jewels, who were my pick last week. So there's some nice synergy there. But this song is really creepy. It's got this kind of like demon possession vibe in the lyrics, and this like distorted church organ going on in the background. It's really like aggressively creepy and haunting. And the scene that it's used in Twin Peaks, I sent to the guys, and we'll link it in the show notes. The band is playing this song at the Double R, which is the bar in Twin Peaks, and a girl is sitting in a booth waiting on her friend, and these two biker guys come and force her out of the booth. And then, because it's David Lynch, she just kind of silently crawls across the floor and like crawls through the crowd of people watching the band. And once she gets like halfway out into the dance floor, she just starts screaming bloody murder. And then the episode cuts to black, and that's the end. And I just always loved that scene. Like, I found it completely chilling, and I just had to go find this song as soon as I watched that episode. And I've loved this song ever since. It's creepy and it's weird, but it's catchy, and I really like it.
You know, you included this video clip, but it did necessarily help or hurt the song at all, because I just had no idea what was happening, because I have no context for the show at all.
And this has no context with the episode. This is just the final scene of that episode, like after all the plot stuff has happened.
But like, we know who that person is, right?
Nope, you never see her again.
Never mind then, Taylor. Okay, so that's just kind of weird and creepy then.
Yeah, that's how Twin Peaks is sometimes.
Okay, all right. That was a lot of vocal fry just for the audience there. I mean, that being said, I mean, it is very creepy. I also feel like not that many people in the Twin Peaks world would be that excited, I feel like, for a band like that to be played at a show there. If it's anything like I imagined the show to be like, I imagine they're not very hip.
I mean, probably not, but like Nine Inch Nails also does a performance in this season at a crowded Double R, so you know, you just have to suspend your disbelief, because sometimes David Lynch wants to put his favorite bands in his TV show.
Okay, I was just gonna say, because that was pretty buck wild. I was like, I don't know if that many people would be reacting that positively to to this horrifying song. But no, this is really a super creepy song, and I think it fits really well in like the atmosphere of it. Because I mean, like, of course the words aren't necessarily like related to like explicitly like that dark of a theme. Like, I mean, do you happen to know like what, like, I didn't look up the lyrics at all because I'm bad. But are they
I mean, they're vaguely like demon possession-y. So it's like I'm glowing bright obsidian, axolotl amphibian, unelemental chemicals, got me growing 6 black tentacles. A little nightmarish, a little maudlin. Good golly, go get the kid some laudanum. Salvation's more than I can afford. Who needs the devil when you've got the Lord? That's the first verse.
No, you're right. That is good. I guess maybe just the axolotl part, you're just kind of like, well, I guess that's just a hook to kind of get you in. You're like, oh, that's what a... Like, I feel like the song has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it's a very strange song. Like, it's very surreal in that way.
Which, to be fair, I would imagine being on a one-way ticket that would be.
So this song really reminds me of Mark Lanegan. You know what I'm talking about? Used to be in...
Oh, yeah.
Queens of the Stone Age, and he has like his own solo career, but before that he was kind of like in the grunge era. When I heard this, I was like, this is like a more modern day Mark Lanegan with it doesn't sound like something that he wouldn't do, because he's definitely progressed to like welcome the synthesizers and everything into his music, his more modern, his more contemporary music. But that's kind of what it reminded me of. Like right off the bat, I was like, oh, this is Mark Lanegan. This is it. It just has that same tone and those same like reverb sounds and like that same kind of like slow beat kind of. Does that make sense? Like if you I don't know, if you're really familiar with Mark Lanegan, I think you can see how this relates. But then when I watched them perform live, I was like, oh no, this is definitely not the same band.
Although that is kind of a weird 6 degrees of David Lynch, because Mark Lanegan has done some work with Moby, who is very close friends with David Lynch and appears in this season of Twin Peaks as well. So.
Oh yeah. Well, that's because
it all comes back.
Like Mark Lanegan definitely really fits in that Twin Peaks kind of vibe, and I feel like was really big when the original Twin Peaks would have came out anyway. So that just works out.
Yeah, that's a good connection. I never really thought about that, but yeah, there's definitely some influence there for sure.
But when you listen to other stuff by the Vials, they really more, to me, sound like Alabama Shakes than they do Mark Lane again. This is just like the one song that really stuck out that works super well with Twin Peaks. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is a bad pick for Twin Peaks because it was a fantastic pick for Twin Peaks. There's just, I don't think from the other stuff that I've listened to them, it doesn't accurately represent what the Vials have to offer.
Yeah, this is definitely an outlier, which is part of the reason I wanted to pick it, because it's such a menacing song, but it doesn't really, like, it just kind of comes out of nowhere.
And that's not like, it kind of reminds me in the same way that when you watch Orange is the New Black and you hear Regina Spencer has the opening number, if you listen to other Regina Spencer stuff around that same time, there's not really a lot that sounds like that. Like, that song is very unique to that show. Or if you listen to the song that I had last week.
The Mick Jagger song?
Vasquez. No, sorry, 2 weeks ago. The Vasquez song.
Oh, yeah.
The rest of their stuff does not sound like Everything I Do Is Out. The rest of the stuff sounds very different. And it kind of confuses me, but I love the song so much and I respect the song so much that I don't really want to say like, oh, it doesn't work. But this is a good one because, I mean, isn't that the whole point of what Twin Peaks is about is like, well, besides a murder.
Demon possession and the cyclical nature of trauma, and
it kind of has a True Detective feel a little bit too.
Also pie and coffee, yes.
Very coffee-focused series.
Hi, I'm Chase Sabina.
And I'm Joe. We're the hosts of the White Noise Podcast.
The White Noise Podcast is an hour-long podcast that comes out every other week on Wednesdays. In this podcast, we unpack why so many of our social media habits boil down to white noise. We basically try and answer the question of, why are we still online?
Whether it's sending birthday wishes to strangers or feeling urges to share constant personal updates, we need to talk about the weird things social media is encouraging us to do.
By the way, I'm the creative director for a media marketing agency and an Instagram influencer. You can follow me on Instagram at ChaseHSabina.
I've managed everything from parody accounts to corporate social media, but all I want you to do is delete your account. If you think the way we use social media is weird, delete your Finsta, shut down your photography account, and listen to White Noise.
You can listen to the White Noise Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.
Ooh, I'll go next.
All right, Sean, what you got?
So this week I picked Avenged Sevenfold, Bat Country. So Taylor was probably like kind of a little bit too young for me going through my Avenged Sevenfold phase in early high school. Well, actually, a lot of us went through Avenged Sevenfold phase in high school in our friend group. But I always really thought this was like a more interesting interpretation of what like going to hell was or being in hell was, because you're like surrounded by sin and everyone wears black clothes and has cool facial piercings and wears aviators and is, you know, plays electric instruments and hangs out in Las Vegas.
So instead of a place of eternal damnation, it's just where all the naughty people hang out and smoke.
Yeah, basically. It's just like a place where everyone is just like you. But also it channels this very like Hunter S. Thompson place, which, I don't know, you could describe that as a very hellish place too, I guess. But that said, when I listen to this song, I still really enjoy it. I feel like this is one of those albums that I just killed when I was in high school because I wanted to learn every single song off of it on drums, and I wanted to be the Reverend, R.I.P. Reverend.
I really, really don't like this band.
Really?
I have never liked Avenged Sevenfold. I do think this is their best song. Like, based on what I've heard, this is the one that I've always felt like I could appreciate for what it is the most. I think it's a well-written song, but it's not really a style of music that I enjoy. Like, I don't know how you would describe this. I guess it's like somewhere between metal and stoner rock.
Yeah, no, I don't relate to that at all.
Really?
No. No, I love both of those genres. Thank you.
Okay, I was gonna say, I feel like that's the only way I know how to describe this, but
It's more like it's got like some thrash. It's like a little hard rock. It's like has like some punk elements to it. You know,
but there are a few bands in this space, you know? Like, Avenged Sevenfold was probably the most popular of these kinds of bands, but in the mid-2000s, this was like a little tiny movement in radio rock. And I never really got into any of it. And I think Avenged Sevenfold in particular, it always just felt a little too over the top for me. But this song, like, despite its absolutely ridiculous, hyper-dated music video, like, this song stands up on its own. There are parts of it where I feel like, you know, the slow, sappy bridge goes on a little too long. The overdubbing on the guitar solos is a little bit much for me, but that's part of the style. So I don't know. It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite, but it is very hellish, and it's very like you were saying. It has this kind of like Hunter S. Thompson, Hell on Earth feeling to it. Particularly in the music video, it's obviously channeling Fear and Loathing. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a good pick for this challenge. It's just not a song that I would choose to listen to in any other context, really.
Have you listened to this whole album?
No.
Okay, please do me a favor this week and listen to this whole album. I know that, granted, this is like a challenge for you because I know that you're not really big into Avenged Sevenfold. But the reason that I ask you to do it is because when you get to like the latter half of the album, I feel like there are parts of this album, especially even in this song, where the last actual minute on the album is it ends differently. I actually thought about putting that song on here, but I didn't want to do that because I feel like it's better to listen to it on the album. But you actually get to realize how eclectic this band really is and how much of towards the end it ends up kind of being a very rock opera. That's why I say you kind of got to give it a second chance because it doesn't really... I know that you just want to have it, but if they made the song as long as it actually is an album, you would end up with like a 4-minute music video, which just it wouldn't have played at the time. But when you hear like, when they have like the classical guitar duel, when they have the minor key tonality in the end of Backcountry on the album, when they have the Weight of the World, like symphony part, like you have to kind of listen to this as a whole and not just look at it for what it is. But that said, I think the video is cool. Beast and the Harlot video is really interesting too. So I don't know. I think that's why this one just keeps coming back to me like once a year. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. This album was like really cool because after this, they kind of went their country route. And before this, they were really like almost thrash metal or heavy metal. And this was like the beautiful bridge album. So
spoken like true words of a man who owned one Avenged Sevenfold shirt. Back when it was...
I probably owned like 5.
Did you really? Well,
oh my god, I owned so many of them.
There was the classic one. There's like the olive drab one that I forget what was on it. It was a very simple design. I don't remember if it just said A7X on it or not, or if it also had the skull bat on it.
I think the one I had that I loved the most was this green one that had like a Death Angel on the front of it instead of Avenged Sevenfold. But Greg had the OG like Avenged Sevenfold logo shirt.
So the Bridge the Gap, I actually had Beast and the Harlot as one of my B-sides.
Oh, nice.
I think for me, I kind of liked sort of like the more melodic elements of Beast and the Harlot. I feel like it was a little more like, had a little more pomp and circumstance to it. I don't know, it's a little bit more of like a happy-go-lucky song, even though it, compared to Backcountry, right? But no, I do think that Backcountry is probably the better song, I think, for this challenge. And I would say that I probably bridge the gap between Sean and Taylor in that I like some Avenged Sevenfold. Obviously, like, let's just all just say here, because we're in a safe space. Basically, after they're self-titled, after City of Evil, we just fell completely off the boat, and we said, no, we're not going to listen to this band anymore ever again. Because I think that was like right after like the Rev died, and then as soon as that was over, it was gone. It's like when Tom DeLonge left Blink-182. You're like, you know what, this is a different band, and we don't like it anymore. We can have that argument later. California's a bad song.
Bad song, good album.
Blame it on my youth. Not a good song. But no, I think Backcountry is super thematic. I think it fits right in, of course, because I almost picked it, basically. I think one of the most, I guess, the damning things about Avenged Sevenfold is probably M. Shadow's vocals, which is probably why Taylor doesn't like them.
It is a very distinctive vocal style, I'll give it that.
And to be fair, that's usually what alienates people from most metal, is someone who can't sing, basically. Not that he can't, but either a weird voice or they can't sing very well. Which brings us to my song.
Way to segue, Tyler. What do you got for us this week?
Oh, goodness. I think I'm actually going to go to hell for this one, everyone. I'm so sorry. Who would have thought that I would have picked Highway to Hell by AC/DC? Now listen, I know all of you at home are thinking, what the hell? AC/DC on my playlist? I mean, I'm not an AC/DC apologist, okay? They're a bad band. They are not good, but they're a legacy band, and I think they do a few things really well. And some of those things are singing songs about balls, lightning, thunder, distinctly different from lightning. Don't get it twisted, and hell. And you know what? I was just like, this song is so dumb, but it's so catchy, and it's just so much fun. And I'm like, how can I not? It feels like if I'm gonna go battle with Satan himself, this isn't the worst song to hear on my way down. Which, for some people, this could be like, oh, since AC is a bad band, it's like the worst song. It's like I picked a bad, but I actually like it.
The disappointment in Sean's face right now.
Okay, so I'm just gonna be real.
I'm disappointed in myself. Let's just be clear. This is a shameful pick.
I don't like AC/DC, but do I blame Tyler for picking this song? No, because this is the champion of hell songs. If there was that's what I mean. Like, there really isn't a better one to pick, which is why I didn't want to pick it. It was like, I know I went on this whole rant at the beginning how I wanted to be subtle and all this stuff, but the reason that I wanted to is because Tyler's pick is the one. Like, there really isn't any other song that you could possibly pick that could fit this better, because it just works out so well. And everything about Angus Young is this playlist, is this challenge, because he plays a red SG, he wears a little schoolboy uniform with those cute little horns. He just does everything that is this challenge to the most extreme extent, with the exception of maybe Guar, but that's kind of a different thing, right?
It's a very different thing.
And maybe that's what makes it work so well, is because they're AC/DC. They're AC/DC. That's enough. That's all you gotta say.
For a podcast about music from three white guys who listen to a lot of rock and roll music, it is kind of surprising that all of us hate AC/DC. You would think by law of averages, at least one of us might be able to like or tolerate them, but no, they're annoying. That being said, this is one of the potentially 4 good AC/DC songs, and it's honestly probably the best one. I considered it for myself, I'm not gonna lie, when the challenge came in, but I knew in my heart of hearts that I couldn't sully my personal brand by picking an AC/DC song for this show. Because the problem is, from now until eternity, every time we have to listen to this playlist, it's going to be Tyler's face we see when we hear Angus Young's voice. And as long as it's not my face associated with that god-awful noise, it's fine.
No, you're right. Taylor wants to be remembered for ping pong ASMR. That's correct. Taylor's legacy is going to be that song, so
I know
it's
what
fine.
It feels like. But no, this song, like you guys were saying, this song's a total classic. That guitar riff, it just gets you every time. It's a little bit campy, it's a little bit ridiculous, but I think that's also kind of what makes AC/DC work on the rare occasions that they do work, is that they are campy and ridiculous, and it is kind of dumb. And I think they're aware that it's kind of dumb. In the same way that Kiss is kind of aware of how dumb Kiss is, right? I feel like you could have also picked a Kiss song for this, probably. I'm not as familiar with their catalog.
I mean, there's probably a song about hell somewhere in there. I can almost guarantee it.
Almost definitely. But yeah, am I upset that AC/DC is on this playlist? Yes. Am I upset with you for picking this song? No. You knocked it out of the park. This was a great pick. Perfect for the challenge. Can you give us a little Angus Young impression, Tyler?
Hold on, what's a good lyric? What's a good lyric? What's his best one? What's the best part of that song? Don't need no reason. Don't need no rhyme. Nothing I'd rather do. Going down.
He's gonna do karaoke.
Time. My friends are gonna be there too.
All right. That's enough.
Highway to hell. Highway to hell.
All right.
I had to get up my courage, my karaoke voice for that one.
Ugh.
I hope you know I only do it so we can get like at least one more patron donor, right? You're like this. I'm doing it for the $5 a month, right? That's it.
All right, and now it's time for notable B-sides. And these were songs that were so close to getting on this one, but just were too good on the bad playlist. Anybody got some notable B-sides this week?
You'll be pleased to know that I have a pseudo metal B-side.
Ooh.
Another throwback to early high school, 96 Quite Bitter Beings by CKY.
There you go.
Oh, that's a good one. That's good. I like that.
I did listen to a little bit of CKY in high school. Also, the entire discography of him.
I'm sorry, Taylor.
And then...
But I see, no, but him was love metal.
I know, but there's a lot of hell imagery in there. But no, serious B-sides though. Horror Show by DJ Shadow featuring Danny Brown, Gave Up by 9 Inch Nails, and another 9 Inch Nails track, Heresy.
Lots of 9 Inch Nails. That's good. Very appropriate. My B-sides were Beast and Harlot, Crazy Train, Holy Diver, the Killswitch Engage version, War Eternal by Arch Enemy, Dragula by Rob Zombie, New Dark Ages by Bad Religion, Cowboys from Hell by Pantera, Shout at the Devil by Motley Crue. I went to a real dark place.
I love that you just slipped Dragula by Rob Zombie in there as if I wasn't going to notice.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to play laser tag and you got to listen to Dragula, you know? So sometimes...
That song is in The Matrix for like 5 seconds and therefore is on the Matrix soundtrack, and it is the only Rob Zombie song in my entire library.
That's buck wild.
Okay. Ready for these?
Yes.
Okay. So, my first one, I guess I should talk about this. My picks really didn't come from like the reference to hell. It mostly came from all the times that I know in history that people have put their heads in their hands and said, this country's going to hell. So I gotta pick one from Marilyn Manson, so I picked Antichrist Superstar.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
I picked My Generation by The Who because that clearly upset a lot of people. I picked Personal Jesus by Depeche Mode, not the Marilyn Manson cover, but you know I'm going with this one. I also thought that Elvis Presley was particularly scandalous and morally questionable. And then finally, if you really know where hell's at, it's definitely populated by the Beatles' Helter Skelter.
I thought about it. I really thought about it, but I don't like to give that song away to Charlie Manson. It's a good song regardless of his association with it.
Well, right. No, and it came around before him, right?
Oh, yeah, but the whole like conspiracy theory is that he was like motivated by that song to kill all those people or something.
No, not really. I don't know. That's a bold claim. I guess you could say that about a lot of the songs that I picked on here. A lot of society's downfall could have been pinned on these artists. I mean, they brought Marilyn Manson in front of Congress. The Who was basically banned for a long time, right? And the Beatles, like, they're their own thing. I think Depeche Mode has a pretty like even reputation, right? There's not a little controversy about Depeche Mode.
Yeah, but there are people who really, really hate that song, and they're wrong because it's a great song.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Depeche Mode really had some hits.
They did. They
did have some hits.
Listener homework, go listen to the greatest hits of Depeche Mode on your streaming service of choice.
You're going to be like, wow. So,
but Tyler, if people want to convince you that there are more than 2 good AC/DC songs, where can they do that?
Well, they're absolutely wrong. You find my design illustration work at rudepets.club, and as always, you can find me on the socials as Rude Pets Club on Instagram, Twitter, and apparently Jiffy is still a thing.
Sean, if people want to talk to you about Depeche Mode, where can they do that?
If you want to do that, seriously, please find me on Instagram at TellySean. That would be awesome, because as I'm growing older, I realize that I really honestly like Depeche Mode a lot. Their new albums are but they're old. Their classic stuff. It still is good to today. They were so good.
Your Instagram is just going to turn into a Depeche Mode fan account, I can tell.
I mean, that certainly would add some dimensionality to it, aside from that one picture of that otter.
He just really likes that otter.
Hey, listen, if you don't like that otter, then
I'm just saying you're really riding that otter's fame. Really just taking him to town.
He's hitched himself to that train. If you want to follow me on the socials and talk about Twin Peaks and all of your crazy fan theories, we can do that at TC Olmsted. And if you want to listen to any of the songs from this week's episode or any song we've ever picked, the official No Repeat podcast playlist is on both Spotify and Apple Music. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week with 3 more songs on another episode of No Repeat.